Good evening and welcome along to the Steve Wraith lockdown interviews, and welcome to my special guest tonight, Newcastle legend Rob Lee. Hi Rob, how are you?
Steve, how you doing? You right?
Good mate, good to have you on. Just let everybody know there is a slight delay just between me and Rob, so I'm just going to ask you questions tonight, guys, if you get them in, and basically I'll put them up onto the screen. Rob will get to hear them and read them, and then we'll hear what Rob's got to say. First of all, Rob, no takeover yet. Hasn't happened yet, but are you expecting it to happen over the next couple of weeks?
Well, if what you've said is to go by, Steve, then yes. It's Newcastle, isn't it? And at the moment we're in no rush because the games haven't started. So, but yeah, everything seems to be going fine. People worry about it taking so long, but it's taken 13 years to get him out. So I don't mind waiting another 13 weeks if that's what it takes. So, but yeah, I hope it goes through. I hope we get some owners in that want to push the club forward. Hope they make the right decisions. Hope they're better than what we've got, because sometimes people who come in not as don't say what they're going to do. Sometimes they're not right, but all the signs are very good. The signs are very good. I'm always sceptical because that's what Newcastle. Always something happens to Newcastle. That's what worries me a little bit. But yeah, they seem like the right people, and hopefully they'll get the right people in charge.
Okay, Dan Hunt asks a question. When the takeover is done and dusted, how big can Newcastle become?
Newcastle, I've always maintained, Newcastle's a huge club. A huge club. Look at what Man City have done over the last 10 years or so. Brilliant. For me, Newcastle's a bigger club than Manchester City. Great support, always have had. Back in the 90s when we were riding high, we were flying out all over the world. People wearing shirts all over the world, and you hope that comes back. You hope that that these people put some money in, buy some players, and get us to be a global brand again, which is where we was headed under Sir John Hall and Kevin Keegan. So I'd like to see all of that again. So yeah, listen, this Newcastle can be as big as anyone with deep pockets puts their money in.
Okay, Andy Roberts says, look at the top on your wall. Was that the FA Cup final top?
No, I don't put my own tops up. It's Peter Beers' testimonial. I got one of Peter Beers, Alan Shearer's testimonials I played in with all the guys. I played with some fantastic players. Peter was up there, world class player. Absolutely honoured to play his testimonial. So I put it on the wall with all the great stars that were there as well.
Yeah. Sean Sturrock says, Lee, which 3 Premier League players would you love to see Newcastle sign after the takeover goes through?
Do you want the realistic one, or do you want the actually what ones I dream of them signing?
Well, I think realistic would be better.
I saw Harry Kane mentioned today. I can't see us getting him, no matter how much money we've got. But yeah, realistically, we could go after many players. I always like them that they've played in the Premier League before, because you know what you're getting, and also value for money. Everyone keeps telling me I was value for money, and I think when you've got a lot of money, I think sometimes you can be very lackadaisical and waste it, and I hope Newcastle don't do that and pay over the odds for players that are not worth it and not the right players for our club.
Okay. Tony Armstrong says, Rob, what manager would you like to see come to Newcastle?
Well, at the moment, Steve Bruce is in charge. I'm a big admirer of Steve Bruce. As I said before, when I last done the podcast with you, Steve, he's always done very well wherever he's been, in my opinion. He's got teams up to the Premier League when maybe he shouldn't. Once he's got them in the Premier League, they're not been top teams. And he's never had money to spend. So who knows? You give him money, when a club gets money, everyone thinks, well, we should go and get the Pochettino's and these world class managers have done very well, and they might do. But I'm a great believer in. I think Steve Bruce has done well, and I think he needs given an opportunity to, if he is given money, to see if he can spend it wisely and see if he's I always maintain it. He's a Geordie. I like having a Geordie in charge.
Okay, fair enough. Glenn O'Neill says, "What a player Rob was. Who is his favourite midfielder in the? What does he think about our current midfielders?"
I think midfielders are slightly different to how I played. If I'm being honest, everyone likes to. I know it's because of the academies, but everyone likes to tippy tappy football and play in front of people. I was one of these that used to run past. I like to see midfield players getting in the box, breaking the neck, getting in the box, past the strikers, and score goals. And I don't think you see it a lot these days. Probably Frank Lampard and Gerrard used to do it a lot. You look around now, there's not many that do it. So that's what excited me, and it excites me with players is making late runs in the box and scoring goals. And they have to be able to defend, they have to be able to run, and they have to be able to tackle. But there's nothing better than a midfielder arriving late in the box and scoring.
Yeah, good stuff. Craig Foster, how many years do you realistically think the takeover will take the team to win the league or even Champions League? I mean, it's not going to be an overnight success, is it, Rob? It's going to take time. There's a lot of investment needs in the club, across the board before we start getting to that level.
Yeah, I think so. I think, listen, we all know, the club's been stagnant for a long time. It needs investment, not just in the playing staff. It needs investment in the academy. It needs investment in the people behind the scenes. So it's going to take us 4 or 5 years. But it just depends on how much money. You can always throw money at the problems, Steve, but sometimes it doesn't solve the problems. It's about getting the right people in for the club. If we can do that and we can attract the right players, then it's a gradual thing. We're so far behind. We're so far behind the Liverpools and Man Cities, even Manchester United. They're years ahead of us at the moment. We've got a lot of catching up to do, but if we get the right investment, we can certainly do it.
Okay. Alan White's question, which team do you think was the best? Keegan's or Sir Bobby's? And who was the better manager?
Keegan's for me was the best for me. Sir Bobby was a great guy, great manager. I only had him a couple of years. I had Kevin for 5 years. I loved the way that he played football. He was an idol of mine. So I'd have to say Kevin, but it's a close run thing in the managers. But I think in terms of the entertainers and Bobby's team, I'm biased, but I played in both. But I think the entertainers were a lot better.
Okay. Paul's question, which forward do you think we will end up with, Robin? Who would you like to see?
Which forward?
Yeah.
I would want is a forward that can score goals, Steve. I think we've had a few forwards that can't score. Who knows who that's going to be? I thought a little while ago we should have got Danny Ings at the time. I think he was a good match for us at the right price. Now that if we get all this money, and I just hope we don't waste it on names. I hope people do their homework and look around and try and get the best player for the club. I keep saying it. Sometimes money we can waste it so easily, and I hope we don't do that.
Okay. Rob says, how soul destroying was it to lose your squad number under Ruud Gullit?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I've always again probably because of Keegan, I've always wore the number 7. I was very proud to wear the number 7. But yeah, I listen. I understand if people are not part of a new manager's plans, but I think for somebody to take your shirt away and not tell you to your face, I think is pretty poor, pretty crap. And but I got it back. Kieran Dyer offered it back straight away because of the Premier League rules, wasn't allowed to do so. But it's quite funny because my son had the same thing happen to him at Hearts. He had his shirt taken away at Hearts. by the manager there. So, and he ended up leaving and going on loan. So, luckily enough, I didn't do that. I stayed and outlasted the manager, and eventually I got my number 7 back.
Paul Oxley says, do you think they'll have another Harry's Hero series? Love the shows. Good laugh.
I don't know. We didn't think they'd be doing a number 2. To be fair, I mean, it got very good reviews, but a lot of lads are getting older. Legs are sort of like bellies are getting bigger, legs are going. But yeah, no. Listen, I hope so. We'll see. It's enjoyable doing it. It's enjoyable seeing lads again. I'd like to see a few ex-Newcastle players in there, but they all seem to be Londoners or played for London clubs. But yeah, no, it's good fun. I don't like tobogganing, as you probably all know. Won't be doing that again. We'll see. It's enjoyable.
Tom Lynch says, did you really believe Kevin Keegan when he told you Newcastle was closer to London than Middlesbrough?
Listen, Kevin Keegan was my idol. I believed everything he said. And yeah, he makes more of it than it was. He said to me what his words were: "With Newcastle's a bigger town a bigger city than Middlesbrough. And if you want to get home, if you get home to London, I can get you home quicker. There's more planes, more trains. So in theory, it's nearer to London than Middlesbrough. But I must admit, that geography."
Tell says, evening Stephen, Rob, I'd like to ask Rob if you had a favourite song from the Terraces. Was there a favourite Newcastle song during your time at the club?
I've lost you now.
He said, I would like to ask Rob if he had a favourite song from the Terraces. Was there a favourite Newcastle song that you had?
Well, mine were Robert Lee Scores on ITV. I think was most of the time they just sang the name, which when you hear your name being sung by that many people, and and they appreciate what you're doing, it's an unbelievable feeling, and it's a feeling that you can never get back as well. I tell my sons the same thing. Enjoy what you're doing, and enjoy the ad you get from the crowds, because once it's gone, mate, and you're sitting at home, you don't get that at home, I'm telling you.
Mupp says, what ex-players, managers would you like to see getting roles at the club when the takeover goes through?
I'd like to see a few more people helping John Burris with that in the lounge. You seem to have about 50 lounges, and John Burris is doing them all. So, and he's not that interesting, to be fair. So, I'd like to see a few of the lads from the entertainers years back, and I'm sure they'd all want to help us out. And I'm sure the fans would like to see some ex-players around. I mean, you go to all these clubs, Arsenal and the Spurs and the Man Cities. They've got ex-players everywhere. They've all got ambassadors, and I think that's another thing where Newcastle have been lacking. Really, it's they just seem to be plodding along. Not sort of like and help the fans at games, and fans like seeing old players. I go to my mates go, when I go to West Ham, I like seeing the old players around. Some are even older than me, so it's a going to a ground and watching the games and entertainment. It's the whole experience, and I think that's all part of it.
Yeah. David Hall says, Rob, you're a legend. We loved you. Read your comments in The Athletic last week regarding your experiences with Ruud Gullit. What was more disappointing, your world-class goal that wasn't against Brentford, or Ruud?
Ruud all day long. The Brentford game we won anyway. We won the Brentford game 5-1. So although it was a terrible to have it ruled off, and it was, I'm never going to score one again, and I never did. The Ruud, I had 10 great years, Steve, at Newcastle, and it was there was one blemish, which was for a year. Ruud Gullit came in. That was probably my lowest point of because I knew I was good enough to still be playing. There was one person at the club that didn't think I was, So, yeah, that without doubt is probably the worst time I had on Tyneside.
It's funny, we had Gavin Peacock on yesterday, and he was saying that he was exactly the same at Chelsea. So it wasn't just Newcastle; he was the same everywhere he went.
Well, I'm pleased Gav said that, yeah, because Gav's a nice, God-fearing guy, and for him to say he's arrogant, I'll settle for that.
Alan Davison, what was the feeling like scoring that fantastic header against Chelsea in the 2000 semi at Wembley? I was in ecstasy until Poyet scored again.
For those minutes after I'd scored, because those when Bobby was there, I was obviously sitting in midfield, didn't score many goals. I think Gary Speed was the one that used to get forward. So, I'd read and I'd heard everyone telling me how long it was since not only we played well at Wembley, but actually the last time Newcastle player had scored at Wembley. So it was an unbelievable feeling when the cross came in from the bad cross came in from Alan Shearer, and I rose and scored a goal. It was an unbelievable feeling. I still get people now on Twitter saying, how drunk they were in the crowd and where they ended up, and they still remember this achievement. And even though we lost the game, it's still a great thing. People, it still brings a lot of joy to people. But I would give it away all day long if we'd have won it.
Yeah. Dan says, Rob, which past or present player would you have loved to have played with?
Wow, good question. Probably Kevin Keegan. I would love to have played with. I think he would have been very, very good to play with. George Best, another Bobby Moore. I used to love at West Ham. These sort of players I would have loved to have played with over the years.
Okay. Mark Sargent says, what do you make of Luke Edwards' Talk Sport interview, and do you think there's a big problem holding the deal up? I don't know whether you've heard Luke Edwards' interview. It's, I think anybody's interviews at the moment are all, they're all misleading because nobody knows where we're at with the deal, Rob.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, Steve. As I said to you before we come on air, I just take it all with a pinch of salt at the moment. We've waited 13 years to get new owners in. If I have to wait another 13 weeks, I'm quite happy with that. So let's wait. Let's see. As far as I'm aware, it's still going ahead, and hopefully these will be the right people to run the club.
Yeah, Andy Roberts enjoyed Harry's Heroes. He's asking if your back's okay. He's also said taking part in that doesn't make you miss playing football, still.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's very strange because you go out there and you're playing with the guys. Most of the guys I've played against, and some of them I've played with my time with England. But you sort of like you long to do the things you used to do, and your mind says, yeah, I can still do that, and your body doesn't allow you to do it. And I found a few times. I mean, I've always had since I stopped playing, I've had a bad knee, and I have to be careful how many games I play and what I do with my knee. I mean, he was feeling fine, and I was confident, with Harry's Heroes, and then my back went. So I just think it's old age, mate.
Yeah, 100%. Corinthian Collector says he's got his Rob Lee Corinthian figure. Does Rob have one, and did he like them?
I don't have one. No. Yeah, I loved all that. I used to, even when I was young, I used to collect football cards and football stickers, Panini, and all those sort of stuff. I used to collect. So yeah, I love all that, and I remember seeing them. I thought my head was a bit big, but hey.
Yeah. Andy Roberts again says, who was your favourite centre midfield partner when you were playing for Newcastle?
I've lost you.
All right. Andy Roberts says, who was your favourite centre midfield partner when you were playing for Newcastle?
Sorry, mate. I just
All right.
Just come in here. With
Oh, you're freezing again, mate. I'll take you out the stream and probably bring you back in. That's probably the best thing to do.
That's life, huh? Yeah. Can you hear me?
No, mate. You've completely frozen now.
Yeah.
Are you back?
I'll try and join again.
Okay, mate. No worries. Okay, guys. Well, tomorrow night we've got Warren Barton. We'll just give Rob a chance to get his technical side sorted out and we'll get him back on. Warren Barton tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Thursday night we've got Michael Chopra at 6 o'clock. And then we're going to have Neil Mitchell, the Geordie dentist. He's going to be back on Friday night at 6 o'clock. Then Lee Clark on Saturday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then Sunday is yet to be confirmed. So we've got plenty going on over the next few nights. Don't forget, you can always ask your questions. Please subscribe to the channel, though, and share this as well so other people can join. It'll be great. Rob's just coming back in now. That's it, Rob. Are you back with us?
I'm back, mate. I'm back.
You're back. That's it. We can see you now, mate. That's great. So we were asking you who your favourite centre midfield partner was when you were playing for Newcastle.
I was lucky enough to have a few, really. I mean, I enjoyed playing with Barry Venison. He taught me a lot. Obviously, he moved in from midfield, from right back to midfield when I was in attack in the early days. He entertained us, and he done a great job for us there. Then I obviously had Lee Clark, done a good job. Dave Batty, Gary Speeder, so many, and also with England, you know, I lucky enough to play with Gazza and Paul Ince. So I play with many great players, and if I had to pick a favourite, I would probably say I'd probably play best with people would be surprised with Lee Clark. And then obviously he got replaced by David Batty a bit later on, but I probably have the best time when Clark was next to me, actually.
Yeah, no surprise there. Mark Dalton says Rob Lee was in Roy Keane's top 5 midfielders, which is quite a compliment, isn't it, from Keane?
Yeah, he doesn't compliment many people, so yeah, I'll take that all day long. He was a great player. That hit, you know, Paul Scholes, had some good battles with him. Utmost respect for him. I enjoy watching him on telly. Would you believe? I think he's different, and yeah. So yeah, for Roy Keane to say you're in the top 5, I'll take that all day long.
Alan Davison says, "What was it like sharing a dressing room with Tino?"
Sorry, mate, I lost that one.
What was it like sharing a dressing room with Tino?
Different. Yeah, he speaks no English. Much. He was funny character. You know, most word he said with mierda, I think, means shit. But good to be around. You know, he was an unbelievable football player when he wanted to be. If it was cold or he got the wrong side of bed and didn't want to play, then he was a bloody nuisance. But on his day, he's he had more ability than most people I've played with.
Mup says, "What result would you change if you could go back? Is there one result that you could change?"
Yeah, if I could change one result, it would probably be the when we played Manchester United at home when we were going for the title. I think we lost 1-0. Cantona scored. We played brilliantly on the night, and I just think if we'd have won that game, or even just not lost the game, I think we'd have gone on to win the title. I think we played so well. Schmeichel was unbelievable, and should have, even when we were beaten 5-0. I think in that game we could have beaten 5-0. Unfortunately, Cantona pops up and scores a winner. And I think that game gave them a lot of momentum against us.
Yeah, 100%. Tell says, who was at fault when you and Alan clashed heads at Derby?
Alan, definitely. It was, Derby, we were winning 2-0. I think Alan wasn't playing well at all. So, yeah, very clever and took out Derby's best player. You know what? I was picking bits of bone out of my.
Matt Viken says, would you consider a role at the club after the takeover?
Yeah, well, it depends what it was, really. Yeah, I wouldn't want to just be around for just doing nothing. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'd love to be a part of the club. I've always, always loved the club, always loved the area, all loved the people. Still, as you know, I still go up there as much as I possibly can. Love the place. So, yeah, if I could help in any way, then yeah, I'd certainly be up for it.
Mark says, one player you could bring back, Shearer or Ferdinand?
Well, that's a tough one. Listen, Les was a great player, and I think hopefully I played my part in getting him to come to Newcastle when I was at England. I used to just nail him all the time and just say, "You come and join us. You've got to come and join us." So, and I got on great with him, and he was brilliant for us. But I think Alan Shearer was. We never sees this, but he a well-class forward, and he was as good as I've seen as the old-fashioned centre forward.
Okay. Craig says, any chance of doing a chat with Lee, Barton and Clarkey on one chat? Well, we'll see, mate. You never know. It is possible. Frankie says, has Rob recovered from going on the bobsleigh?
I tell you what, I would never go on a bobsleigh again. I was actually there, and I thought I'm not, and I watched it, and I said I'm not doing this. I'm really not interested in doing this. I get motion sickness anyway. But I had a look, and I didn't look too. I was going too, and most of the lads had gone, and there was Harry wanting to go at the end, and I thought, I'll just jump on with old Harry at 71. It won't go that quick. They'll take it easy, and yeah, it was probably 58 seconds, the worst 58 seconds of my life, and I generally chucked my guts up for about an hour afterwards.
Rob, what was it like scoring on your England debut at Wembley? Max says.
Listen, I've seen it many times. When I was playing football in the playground when I was a kid, I think it's one of those things, and kids will do it now. You dream of playing at Wembley, you dream of playing for your country, and you dream of scoring. And I was very, very fortunate to be able to do that on my all in one day on my debut. I waited a long time because obviously I didn't make my debut until I was 20.
It would be worth today, Rob.
I think I'd be worth over £700,000 as Sir John Hall stole me from Charlton for. I'm telling you.
Danielle says, what do you think when Kevin Keegan lost his head with the comments he made by Alex Ferguson? Of course, that was live on Sky. The old, I'll love it if we beat them.
Listen, it's a most famous, iconic rant now in Sky history, I think. But it didn't really bother the lads. We were on the coach, I think, when it came through, and we were just like, there goes the gaffer again. He's if he got a bee in his bonnet over something, he normally let rip. That's what he did. He wore his heart on his sleeve. If he thought someone was out of order, he'd say. But yeah, I bet he looks back now and even he has a little chuckle at it, I think.
Paul Flanagan says, did you feel more pressure after Kevin branded you the best midfielder in England?
No, no, it was a great somebody had that much, and it was a huge. I was a huge fan of his. For someone who is your idol to say you're the best player in England, I loved it, and to think that he rated me that much, it made me feel 10 foot tall every time I went on the pitch. He dragged me from being, if you like, guy with his sort of like backing and not even coaching wise. It was just him saying that I'm a good player. He turned me into an international who represented England 21 times. Went to the World Cup and didn't do too badly. So I'm for always in his debt.
Steve Hutchinson's given us the old tea party question, which we haven't had all week. Non-footballers, who would you love to take to a tea party, Rob?
Oh, let me think. I'd go for Muhammad Ali. I've always fancied Kylie Minogue, which my wife knows about, so I'd probably take her as well. Tommy Cooper, I always loved him. Even Morecambe and Wise, I think they're great. So people like that, people make me laugh and make me smile, is the people I would have at a tea party.
Kylie, though, you should be so lucky, Rob. Mupp says England to win the World Cup. Mupp Murphy says England to win the World Cup or Newcastle to win the league. Pick one.
Oh wow! Wow! God, dear, that's an unbelievable question. I've never been asked a question. It's tight. I don't know. God, I think I'd slightly go with England. I'd slightly go with England to win the World Cup. World Cup is the biggest thing ever, but I would love to see Newcastle win anything. I don't care if it's a League Cup. To see, I'd be very, very envious of the players doing it because that's just the way I am. I wished it could have been me. I wish I could have won something, and so I would be very envious of the people to win some of that club.
Fantastic. Sean Paul says statue at St James's Park for Rob Lee all day, which is very nice of you. And he goes, Rob, did Alan and Roy Keane scrap in the tunnel after Keane got sent off for trying to punch him? And who would you put your money on to win?
I think Roy Keane's a tough guy, but Alan keeps telling me he come from the rough end of Newcastle. I'm not sure he did. I think he was from the gentle end. But Alan was a big, strong guy. It'd have been a close fight, I think. I think Alan could take care of him. So I never met him, but we used to fight him on holiday. But I used to give him a good hiding then. But I'm a tough Londoner, so.
Yeah. Richard Boyd says, if you could sign one player for Newcastle, who would it be? And thanks for all your years at the club.
No problem for all the years at the club. I absolutely loved it. So, listen, if I any player, I mentioned this week, Harry Kane would be. I saw Harry Kane playing for Spurs when my sons were playing against him years and years ago before he made his first team debut. And I even rung Alan and I said, I've seen somebody who reminds me of you. And mind you, Alan's words were he's only 360 goals behind me. So.
Lee says, where's playing? Who were the wind-up merchants from other teams?
Dennis Watt was a pain in the arse. Very good player, but he was a nuisance. He used to wind people up. When you was on the deck, he'd pull you up by your hairs on your arms and pinch you, and he was a nuisance. Robbie Savage, he was a nuisance as well with wind-up merchant. Probably not as good as a player. Ian Wright could wind people up. He was very good at shouting obscenities at you. But I think it's one of those things that this day and age we don't see it anymore. We don't see a bit of verbals, and I used to love all the verbals and the stuff that used to come out.
Adam Fox, similar question to what we had before. Would you ever come back to the club as a coach, Rob?
Well, again, I'd help in any way I can. I'm sure whoever comes in will bring their own coaches. They usually do. But as I say, it's if I could work for Newcastle in any capacity that I thought I was doing some good, then I would consider it.
Mark Dalton says, when Sir Bobby came to manage, he brought you back in. Can you remember the first conversation with him about it, about bringing you back in?
Well, I think if I remember rightly, he just sat me down and asked me why I wasn't playing. And I don't know if he knew he thought I was injured or something, but he asked why I wasn't playing. I told him we'd had a few barneys, and he said, "Well, I want to get you in my team as quickly as I possibly can." I think he started off playing me 60, 70 minutes, and then put me straight in, and I got on great with Bobby. Got fantastic with him, and he had his blue chip players, as everybody knows, and he was loved by everybody there.
John Ball says, would you have made a move to Sunderland from Newcastle if the deal had been right?
No.
Simple. Joe Walker, NUFC
Simple.
dressing room.
No.
Worst dress sense, worst taste in music, least funny, and couldn't handle drink.
Barry Benson, the worst dressed. God. Nobby Solano, terrible taste in music. All that salsa rubbish. Who was least funny? Probably Alan's the least funny person. And he dresses badly and he's got bad taste in music, so I'd pick him for all three, to be fair.
Brilliant. Keith Gillespie couldn't really handle a drink either, could he? Especially with them drinking games.
What's that?
I'm saying Keith Gillespie couldn't handle a drink either. Keith Gillespie couldn't handle a drink either with those drinking games.
No. Keith drunk like he played. Went very, very quick, and then run out of steam, and then got obnoxious.
Craig says, if, and it's a big if, the takeover doesn't go through, do you think this will cause a massive lack of fans attending the games? I mean, we've already lost 10,000 supporters, Lee, Rob, at the moment. So it's, it could well affect the support if Mike Ashley was to stay.
Yeah, it's probably the first time. They always threaten to go to the games, but you know what Newcastle fans are like? They always seem up. And up till recently that they've actually stopped going in their numbers. So yeah, I think if Mike Ashley stayed on, I think the crowds would stay probably worse than they are now. With him staying on. But I listen. If these people take over, and I hope they do, the first game you won't be able to get a ticket for. It'll be chock block. That's as we all know.
Steve Hutchinson says, have you heard anything of Razor Ruddock since Harry's Heroes? Do you know how he's doing? Obviously, he had his battles, didn't he? And he had a pacemaker fitted whilst the show was being filmed.
I lost you again.
Have you heard anything of Razor Ruddock?
Pacemaker.
Yeah.
Yes, he texts me every now and again. He's had a pacemaker fitted, and he's doing okay. He's trying to watch his weight and trying to watch what he drinks. But listen, Razor's good fun to be around. He's always been larger than life. He's always been a character. But I just think when you have a scare like that, maybe you have to sort of like tone it down a wee bit now, I think.
Couple of personal messages here. Craig Winstanley says, please apologise to Rob when I caught him in the Hilton at Gateshead on the eve of the Man City game back in November. I'd had a few beers and I didn't even get a picture. Gutted. So I'm sure Rob won't hold that against you. Peter Henderson also says, can you ask Rob if he wants his DVDs back from his house when he lived in Durham?
Why did he nick them?
He might have done. David Bridget, who was the best player at pool or snooker?
If I remember right, Steve Watson was always very good at both. But I think that's because he didn't go to school much, and when he was a youngster in Newcastle and played a lot of pool and snooker. If I remember rightly, he was always very, very good.
Lee asks, what was the loudest ground you played at, Rob?
Well, I would always say Newcastle. I'd always say Chambers Park. There are some grounds that Ellen Road is when that's packed is a fantastic stadium to play at. West Ham. The ones that are really loud are probably, I remember right, the really tight grounds. The tight grounds, the Upton Parks, always tight. Anfield, the older grounds seem to all the older grounds seem a bit of a more loudness, more sort of like hearing the crowd and stuff.
Adam asks, what impact would it have if Ashley stayed? Would you think that would happen to us? And would he have less interest than he does now?
Could he have less interest than he does now? I don't know. I don't know how you do that, really. Listen, I think we all just hope it's but I do think everyone, even Mike Ashley, surely must think, I hope this goes through now. Surely he's had enough. Surely if he gets the money that he wants from these people, then walk away, and you've had some great advertising out of it, and move on to the next thing.
Dan Hunt asks, what's your funniest moment while at Newcastle?
Oh God, I had lots of funny moments that I can't even mention. But I remember one when we used to do a thing where if you got something wrong or you made a mistake, you had to do 5 press ups. So all the players, if they did anything wrong or said something stupid, they had to do 5 press ups. And I remember Scott Sellers went to take a corner. And I don't know if it's on telly or not, but he went to take a corner and he kicked the corner flag instead of the ball. And we was all laughing. The game was on, we were all laughing. And he went down and done 5 press ups before he took the corner again. So.
That's a good one. Andrew Young asks, I remember the Shearer League clash of heads at Derby. It looked nasty. Is it true that it scuppered their planned night out? Did you have a night out planned?
I had Alan was broke his nose, so he had a big plaster on his nose. I had a big bandage all the way around my head, and we still went out in the evening with Gary Speed and Warren and their wives. It looked like there'd been a car crash going towards the restaurant, but yeah, it didn't stop us. Once we'd had a few beers, and we was all okay again. But I felt a bit. My head felt a bit bad in the morning. I know that. I don't know if it was the beer or Alan headbutting me though.
John asking if there's another series of Harry's Hero. You answered that earlier on. We don't know yet if that's the case. Joe Walker, do you think Bruce Grobbelaar was throwing the 3-0 home game versus Liverpool? I'll never forget your first time through ball.
Listen, I've heard the room. There's no way he could have saved any of those. I mean, Andy Cole scored from about 2 yards out, and every goal was very similar. If he was trying, it wasn't through them because he had no chance of saving any of them. Remember the game so well as well when snowing and Liverpool come to town, and we absolutely battered them. Played some great football. And as I said, at the time we had Andy Cole who could score goals for fun. So, but yeah, I can't see him throwing any of those goals in.
No. Scott M wants to know, who did you have on the back of your football shirt when you were a kid?
Well, obviously he doesn't know how old I am because there was no names on shirts when I was growing up. Unfortunately, but I had a West Ham shirt, I had a Liverpool shirt, we had a Leeds shirt, the old yellow shirt from Leeds many years ago, and I had some Charlton shirts because my dad was a big Charlton fan. So, but we had no names on the back of them then.
Yeah. Colin Wilson asks, do you think Mike Ashley will have or be allowed to have any advertising at St James's Park?
Well, I suppose it depends what sort of deal he's done with these people. You hear rumours that some of these deals going to be advertising rights. No, I suppose what deal he's done. I hope not, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Andy Roberts says, Rob, were you gutted when Keegan sold Andy Cole?
Yeah, listen, I got on very well with Andy, and he was a good player. I think, but I always trusted what Kevin was doing, and we knew that he had a plan. We knew that he thought we'd become a bit predictable, and and let's be fair, the minute he could get Les Ferdinand, he went and bought Les Ferdinand. So it was, I wouldn't say gutted. I would say I was disappointed to see him go because he was some goal scorer. But Les Ferdinand came in, and he was his 2 years he had at St James's Park was absolutely.
Yeah. Tim says, any funny stories that we didn't see on Harry's Heroes?
Yeah, you're not allowed to say them. It's a group of older players from that era, all getting together and enjoying themselves and playing a bit of football when they possibly can, telling old stories, but nothing changes really. Nothing, you could see them. Some of the lads I hadn't seen for 5 years, but the banter doesn't change. It's still the same. You all have your stories to tell, and you all have a few. There's always beers involved somewhere along the line. We tried to behave ourselves as much as we possibly could, but I think when you're at our age and our sort of like era of the drinking culture, I think you always going to be involved at some stage.
J Mac says, what do you reckon to the rumours Ashley's taken on Bobby Robson's old club Ipswich Town? Do you think he'll go and spend some of the money on another football club? I don't think he will.
You would have thought he might have had his fingers burnt when Matt Sticky's out at Newcastle. You never know. You never know. Some people like the publicity and the glamour of owning a football club. Ipswich is a fantastic club. It's not far. It's an hour and a bit from me here. I remember Bobby being there, and I remember their players back in the early 80s, late 70s. Great tradition of that club. So, and it's been in the doldrums for a long time. When I was a kid, they were always in the top division. So, but I would have thought so, but you never know.
Lee wants to know, did you have any superstitions as a player, Rob?
Sorry, mate, what?
Lee wants to know, did you have any superstitions as a player?
If we won a game, I weather suit, usual sort of like rubbish, but no major superstitions of going out last or not putting my top on, or I just used to get on with it. I used to follow the same routine if I did well, but usually if I did that, then I'd play crap, so I'd change it straight away.
Peter Henderson, who's the guy who's got your DVDs, wants to know who is your all-time favourite player and who is your current favourite player?
All-time favourite player was Kevin Keegan, without a doubt. Current favourite player, Kane. He's exemplary. He's a goal scorer. He's never gets in any bother. He's not trouble. He just gets on with his job. Loves playing football and loves scoring goals.
Adam Fox says, how's your energy drink going? Any chance of a £300 million sponsorship of Newcastle?
It's not going that well, no. I might go to Clive Spartans or someone.
Good stuff. Mark Dalton says, what was Lua like when he was signed?
Lua was a fantastic ability, great ability. I mean, the way he twisted and turned, it was obviously, as everyone knows, a great gymnast as well. But I just think he was very young when he came to Newcastle. I think playing with all the players, playing a very difficult game team, was strength, great ability, could score goals. So I just think he came to Newcastle a little bit too young.
Joe Walker asks an interesting question. He says, what has Mike Ashley got right?
Wow, good question. I don't know. I think what he tried to do was curb get the club, being able to finance itself, if you know what I mean. It's not rely on other people's or his money, which in theory is a decent idea. Try and get the club on an even keel with what they bring in. But we all know that it's very difficult to do that with football. It's a very emotional game. It's not like most businesses, and I think he's found that out. The first thing you go in when he's in business, he goes in and tries to, if he buys business, usually what's struggling, first thing he does is try and curb the spending and try and get on an even keel. And I think that's what he tried to do.
Joe McClellan says, any chance of Rob saying hello to my partner, Vicky? She thinks he's hotter than Janola.
She's dead right as well. Hello.
Doug Hall, I'm not sure if it's the Douglas Hall. He says, what was your best game in football? Was it the Antwerp game when you scored a hat-trick of headers?
It was, yeah, it's. I've had some great games for Newcastle. I enjoyed playing, as I keep mentioning. But yeah, for the first time we played in Europe for a long time, and to score my first game in Europe, to score after a minute, and go on to get a hat trick of headers in your first European game was again, it's something that dreams are made of, really. So yeah, that's right up there.
Good stuff. Which shirt, be it Newcastle or another team, conjures up sentimental memories of a win or a particular goal? That's from Greg.
Well, I've still got the shirt from the Antwerp game. Actually, we're still in the Antwerp game. So yeah, I've still got that shirt, which all the lads signed, and I've also got the ball, which all the lads signed and Kevin signed. So. So it's the shirt and the ball is. But I don't collect many things, but that was certainly one of the things I kept.
Joe has said that Vicky has gone bright red. He thanks you for doing that.
You're more than welcome.
Tom Lynch says, if you could have swapped places with any of your Newcastle teammates, who would it be?
Well, probably a couple really. I probably would have swapped with Alan Shearer because he was a burner. But I probably would have I would swap with Sylvia Marek because his wife was the best looking wife. So
She must look like Kylie Minogue. Adam Fox says Ben Arthur or St. Maximin.
I like the look of St. Maximin. I think he looks lively. Doesn't look like he looks like a road runner. He's sort of like he excites players, he excites fans, and you know, I think on his days he's very good. So in the big games and the other games, he didn't want to play well. So Maxim for me.
Yeah. Ken says, when you were playing, did you swap shirts with any players? If you did, which players did you swap shirts with?
No, I honestly never I never swapped shirts at all. I got shirts because when we played for England and stuff, your shirts were just a big group of their shirts were banged in the middle of our floor, and they took a lot of our shirts. So I genuinely never asked anybody for their shirt. It's just not one of those things. I wish I had now because the shirt's probably worth a few bob, but I never sort of like, I know you see guys have it next to their favourite player. Last 10 minutes of the game, I'm get a shirt, but it wasn't for me.
Last question from Sean. He says, who's the player from your time at Newcastle you most stay in touch with?
Well, Alan's the one I keep in touch with the most, probably. You know, we still, apart from now, the lockdown, but we still text each other, and we used to go on family holidays. So he's probably the most. Just with I'm still very good friends with. Keep in contact with him a lot, as you know. I come up and do do's with him, and we like a few nights out. So probably Alan. Then after that, probably Bez. So, but there's quite a few I still speak to. You know, Clarkey, I see a fair bit, and Steve Howie, Paul Kitson, I still speak to sporadically. So, still quite a few of the Newcastle players I speak.
Yeah, great stuff, mate. Well, Rob, thanks for giving us an hour of your time on such a glorious day. Stay safe with the family, and hopefully we'll get you back on once the takeover goes through.
No problem, mate. And hopefully the connection will be a little bit better next time. God knows what happened, and hope everyone enjoyed it. But I didn't, because I could hardly hear what you were saying some of the time.
You've done well, mate. You've done well. Take care. Speak to you soon, mate.
Cheers, mate. Take care. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Great to have Rob on. Apologies for the connection at his end. Not great. Yeah, Andy, I have tried for Andy Cole. Sadly, it's no joy on that front. Working on a couple of others. As I say, this week, we are going to be back on tomorrow night with Warren Barton, who usually has a good connection, 6 o'clock. Thursday night, Michael Shopra will be on again at 6 o'clock. The Geordie Dentist, 6 o'clock on Friday, and then Lee Clark at 3 o'clock on Saturday. So that's the next 4 days lined up. Please give this a share so anyone who's missed it can catch up with it. Please subscribe to the channel and please spread the word. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back tomorrow night, 6 o'clock with Warren